Hi everyone and welcome. Today we're back with a new tutorial, but not like usual. This is a from scratch to render tutorial made specifically for beginners like me. I'm not an expert, I'm just learning Blender every single day. I just want to share with you all the techniques that I learn. By the way, that's the main goal of my channel. In this video, I want to show you how I create this text animation using the Boolean modifier. We aren't doing anything too crazy, just simple steps that look great. If you are noob or just starting out, let's build in this together. When you open Blender for the first time, you will see this viewport like this. The first thing, I select all this and X delete. Go in Edit, in Preferences, here in Interface. To make text bigger, I make it always like this. After that, you must to go here in System and enable your GPU. To don't leave it in None. After that, go in Add-ons and enable Node Wrangler. Node, just type Node and you will see it. Enable it. You must save Preferences. So the screencast is not enabling, so I go back in Preferences and in Add-ons. Yes, I enable it like this and I save the preferences. If I hit N here, now I can enable the screencast. I make the size bigger and the mouse I make it bigger too. Shift A, I add a text. Now go with this and make it like this. It's better to look, and with your middle mouse you can scroll to make it like this. Now here in data properties for this text, if I enable it, I can make it in the center. Now in geometry you can extrude it, but don't scroll like this, because this is for text, it's okay, but when you are adding a bevel or a subdivision, if you scroll just like this, maybe Blender will crash. So every time you want to change the setting, hold Shift and now slowly you can extrude the text. So I leave it, I make it maybe bigger because we are using a Boolean and it's good when the text is bigger. Now you want to change this text to your name or logo or anything you want to do with this. So here go in edit mode and now you can delete this text and you can add any text or logo that you want. Hit tab to close, hit tab to go to edit mode. If you don't want to scroll with your mouse here, the shortcut is tab. Okay, now we want to change this font. So here in Blender you can change the font from here. Maybe I make a bold one like this. Now you can, if you want to make space, so I hold Shift and now as you can see you can increase or decrease the space between character. So I make it like this. Okay, now as you can see the text is here is very sharper, so we want to make it smoother. To do that, here in bevel, give it a little depth. So hold Shift, always hold Shift and give it this. So as you can see now, it's nice with this bevel. If I make it in 0, now with the bevel, it's good. Now right click, convert this text to mesh. Now as you can see here, the geometry is not perfect. So by the way, I go here in wireframe viewport. If I go back here, we are in solid view. So let's leave it in wireframe and we add a modifier to fix this. Here in modifier, add modifier, go in generate and select remesh. Don't worry if you see the text like this, we will make it better now. Select sharp and disable this and now I increase step by step this. Now as you can see, the geometry of this text is perfect. Now apply this modifier and go back to solid view. But as you can see, we have this, it's not perfect like this. So I go back in modifier, in generate, I select subdivision surface. You must be careful with subdivision. Make it in simple, and this is for a viewport, but this is for the render, the final render. Now right click, shade smooth, and now we are fixing this problem. So here I make a mistake, so I go back and I make another text because I'm not looking, this is not good for the tutorial. You can make it, but I don't like it like this. So X, delete. Now Shift A, text, go to modify, to properties of the text, make it in the center, change the font, so we are using this one. Okay, now hold Shift and extrude it. Maybe it's good like this. Make it in 0.07. Hold Shift and give it a little depth. Now hit Tab, delete the text and add your name or your logo. Hit Tab to close. Okay, now right click, copy this object, and here paste object. Now you have two texts. Why I make a copy? Because just as you can see before, I make a mistake, and when you convert a text in mesh, it's not possible to go back to this, to properties of the text. So I make this as a copy. If I make a mistake, I can go back with this copy. I delete this one and I go with this copy. Okay, now I disable this text. When you disable this, you can see just one text. By the way, you can name it as a reviewer. Okay, now right click and convert this text to mesh. Now go to wireframe, generate, remesh, sharp, disable this and increase this. If you have a slow computer, you can't go far with this because Blender will crash it. So for me, I go just in 9 and I apply this modifier. Now right click, shade smooth. Now we have a better result with this logo. Now we are finished with modeling the logo. The most important thing to make is to save your project. So you can make it with a shortcut Ctrl S or go in File, Save As. So I give it a name and make it in the folder that you want. Why you must save every single step in Blender. If you make a mistake and the Blender crashed, you will be able to come back in the last step that you crashed. But if you don't save your project, you must start from scratch. So every step you make in Blender, Ctrl S, and you can see here saved. Okay, now let's make this Boolean effect. We must first to add another object. So I go for a UV sphere. As you can see, it's bigger. S and scale it up. Hold S and scale it up just like this. Now we want to see it over this logo. So here click in Z axis, G, Y, and move it like this. But we are scaling this object. So if I go, I hit N and I go here, as you can see, the scale is like this. But if you add a modifier for this, it will be not good. You must to apply this scale. So to do that, Ctrl A, I apply a scale. Now if I go back here, N, as you can see, the scale is back to 1. Every time you scale in any object, Ctrl A to apply this scale. Now hit N to close this window. Now we want to add a Boolean modifier for this. If you want it simple, you can select the logo, add modifier, generate, and here you can see Boolean. Now leave it in difference and here select sphere. Okay, now if I disable this sphere, as you can see, we have this effect like this. But as you can see, the text is not good enough for this Boolean effect. So to fix that, select the text, So I go back. This is I show you the simple way to make it. Now if you want to animate this Boolean, just select the sphere GX and move it in the x-axis just like this. Okay, if you want to scroll, you can move it like this, and with your middle mouse you can zoom out or zoom in. Now this sphere selected, go here. There is different way to add animation for your project. Here you can see a timeline. Make sure that you are sitting in frame 1. You can here right click, insert keyframe. The shortcut is hit I. And now you can see, without making this, you can see here this yellow point that tell you you have a keyframes here. Now this is the timeline. It's set by default to 250. For this animation I will use in just 60 frame. So here I make it in 60 frame. Now you can see the timeline is in 60 frame. Now select this object GX and move it just near the logo, maybe just like this. And now we can use this. You can make it with I. And now right click, insert keyframes. Now if I go back and I uncheck the sphere, and now if I play, as you can see, we have this effect like this. You can see the render, it's slow because we're using a Boolean modifier. So keep in mind, if you have a slow computer, you can make it with objects without a lot of geometry. So we will add in a modifier for this sphere to make it looking better. So first I go back in modifier and I delete the Boolean modifier. Now I select the sphere here in modifier, in deform. Now select this place. Don't worry if you see it like this, just hit new and I will back. Now I go back. So here in image, select, for example, clouds. Now as you can see, the object is like this, and that will make the Boolean good. Now you can change this. Just hold shift and decrease or increase the number here. So I leave it as it is, and now right click, shade smooth. Now you have a better object. Go in modifier. As you can see here, we have a setting for this displace. Now hold shift and decrease this. Maybe I make it just like this, and go back here in texture properties, and now you can change this to make it good. Maybe so I leave it like this for now. And now this selected in modifier, I add subdivision surface. Now it's better with this. As I say, if you have a slow computer, don't go far with subdivision. Make it simple. Now I go back here and I can change it to this. Maybe this, it's better. Okay, just a little. Okay, now right click, shade smooth. So I make it here. Now I select the text, and now we can add a Boolean modifier. So select the sphere like this, or just select this and click in the sphere. Now you see here a sphere. Now I disable the sphere, and now if I play, the Boolean starts here in 7. You can make the animation from this. As you can see, it's easy to do. So I stopped the animation. Now if you want the effect to cover all this later, you can just scale up this sphere. So for me, I leave it like this. Now if I go here in viewport shading, now it's look good. As I say, now Control S and save this. By the way, you can, for the sphere, add a rotation. That's make this reveal effect better. But for this tutorial, I make it just simple. Now the sphere, I uncheck it. Now I add a plane. To add a plane, in mesh, select a plane. S to scale it up, G, Z, and move it down. Now we want to add a camera. Go in add, or Shift A, add a camera. select the position that you want to see your logo, for example like this, hit Ctrl Alt numpad 0 and you have a camera selecting the logo. You can make it bigger like this, but if you want to move the text to cover all this, the easy way is hit N, go to view, camera to view, hit N to close. Now with your middle mouse you can zoom in to place your logo in the camera view. Okay, but now let's give this text and this plain materials. You can see here it's lighting, but if I go here in a render view, as you can see there is no light at all. Why? Because we have adding no light. This light that you see here, it's from the HDRI, the default HDRI in Blender. If I make it like this, no light. Now if I render this image, but for rendering image we must set something before. Now go here in render properties. Here we are in Eevee. We can render the image easily, but it will be darker. No light, nothing to see here. Now to light this scene, there is different way in Blender. The easy way to add light without problems is go here in world properties and in this yellow point selected, and you can see here I select sky texture. Now this is, if I go here in a render view, now you can see we have a light. If I move it, you can see here we have a sky texture. You can change the sun rotation to make it as sunset or sunrise as you want. You can decrease this, so don't forget to hold shift if you want to scroll slowly. You can change the sun rotation if you want the shadow of your text to be in. So I leave it in default like this. Now let's add some materials for the text and for the plane. So now we are finished with timeline. We don't want it for the moment. So here, if you click here, you can go to shader editor. In shader editor, here we can add materials for logo, or you can go here in material properties, and if you select this, hit new, and you can make it, for example, metallic, decrease the roughness as you want. You can make it in glossy like this, decrease the roughness, change the color. We will see all that when you shade in this. Now select the plane, and as I say, if you want to go to shader editor, you can go from here, hit N and close this, and here you can see shading. It's give you the same, but is divided in four pieces. And here if you select a logo, as you can see we have already a glossy BSDF. Now let's stay here and now select the plane, hit new, and this plane we don't want it to be a principled BSDF. So if I go here, I can change it to diffuse BSDF, or I can go here and in a shader I can change it in any. For the moment I make it in diffuse shader, hit 0 and go back to camera view. By the way, if you want to split your viewport and to have this render view to see it, go in viewport here, hit 0, and now you can have this just for the render view. I make it in a render view, and this I uncheck the camera. Now select the logo and now make it darker like this. Now don't forget Ctrl S. Now Blender save your project at this point. Okay, now we want to add a texture for this logo. I zoom just, you can see this. Now the roughness, I decrease the roughness like this. Remember, the first thing that I use when I go in edit and preferences, I enable, where is it? A node, this node one glare. Now we will using this. Now if I select this and I hold Ctrl T, what happened? I have a texture coordinate and mapping and they have here a image texture. If you want to make it just like this, it's good. But if you have any image, any texture, you can go in your computer and select any image. This images I uploaded from pixels.com. It's a free image of this texture. So for example, I select this one. Now as you can see, we can see it here. But if I hit tab, they go to edit mode. Now hit I to select all this vertex. Here you can see a UV. If I click down and they select, where is it? Smart projection. This smart UV project. Just hit unwrap it. Now, if I go back to object mode, now you can see the text textured with this. Why this is important to make mapping and texture coordinate? Because now I can scale this up, or if you want to make it just a little, or you can make it just like this. That's give your text a better look. Now select this plane and now I make it darker. The magic is happening. Now you can see the shadow, you can see the texture. So this is your text with reveal effect. Now if I render this image, it's look like this. But remember, it's if you have a slow computer, use Eevee engine. This Eevee engine just enable the ray tracing, motion blur, and you have your text. It's good, but it's not enough. It's not like if you switch to cycles. But now with this setting, I'm not using, to be honest with you, I don't like Eevee. And you want to have this logo like this, go with Eevee. It's good. You have the image instantly. In a few seconds, you have your image. It's not like cycles. As you can see, you have your logo. But now, if I switch to cycles, now it seems more realistic look. So here it's with the CPU, you must switch to a GPU. And here, as you can see, if I zoom, you have this noise here. So if I active the noise, you have more clear image. And here I can switch because I have a RTX GPU. It's not the better one, but it's okay. I switch to optics. So this setting, if you have a GPU, here the max samples, don't leave it like this, because if you go to render one image, it will be taking hours to give you just one image. For this, because we were not using a glass material, you can make it just in 128, and this you can make it just in 32. What's mean this? If I move, I forget here, N view, camera to view. If you don't select this, now if I hit 0, now you can move this without losing camera render. But if I hit N and in view, I deselect this. If I scroll with my mouse, you can see the text is still here, and if I move this, we lose the camera view. So hit 0, hit N, view, camera to view, and now you can zoom to make all the text if you want in this render region. Okay, we are almost finished for this. Now let's go back to the setting, the better setting to give you a faster render with cycles. Now we are talking about this. If you have a slow computer, you can make it just with 64 samples. Now here in light path, if you have a better light, you can select full global illumination, and that it's make this light. So for this, I make it just as it is. Now motion blur, enable it, and now here in performance, if you want to make the animation, you must to enable persistent data. Go in render image. As you can see, now we are in cycles. It will be taking a time to give you one image. So one image taking 22, maybe 23 seconds for one image. as you add a geometry for your logo, if I make it in glass for example, and if I add more light, more thing for this, it's taking more time for one image. It's not like if I make this in slot 1, and this is if you want to compare images when you make your render. If I select slot 2 and now I select AV and now I render this image, you will see the difference between AV and cycles. Okay, now this is AV and this is cycles. There is a huge difference between cycles and AV. But if you have a slow computer, I highly recommend to look at the tutorials that talking about how to make AV better. Now you can adjust the look that you want for your final render. So we stay here in AV to make animation for this logo. So select your camera. Now I enable the sphere. Why? Just because we want the camera to follow in this reveal effect. So I split this in. If you want to add another window in your viewport, maybe this one we don't use it. So here right click, join down, and this one. And now if I hit here, select here, right click, horizontal split, and now you can add another windows because the UV viewport we don't want it. So now here you can go back to the timeline. Now I go in frame 1, I select a camera, and now I zoom here and I start maybe. Okay, I must to disable this camera to view. Now select the camera GX and I start maybe from here. Now if camera selected, you go here and now you can insert keyframes in location and rotation, and you can see here we have this 3 dot here. Now I go in the frame 16 and now camera selected GX and I move it here. Maybe I make it just in frame 50, select camera, hit GX and move it here. Now here right click, insert keyframe, right click, insert keyframe. Now we have this. And now if I go here and jump, if I move this to 1 frame, and now camera selected, they zoom GX, not the camera selected, I select camera GX, and now hit N, view, camera to view. Now we select all the text and make it as this final render like this. Right click, insert keyframe. Now if I render without disabling this sphere, if you render your image, you will see the sphere in the render in the final. Okay, I must check this first. Even if I uncheck this, if camera not disabling, if I go in render image, you will see you have your sphere here. Here we are in EV and you can see the logo is not good. So now I uncheck the sphere. Maybe if I go here and I render this image, we wait a little. Don't forget we are in EV. As you can see, the image is not good for the animation. So I select this GX and I move it maybe here just to make this better. Now if I go back to cycles, now I render this image. As you can see, the image is not good. So we change this focal maybe. So I leave it in 14 like this. Now if I render the image, so it's not giving me a better result. Maybe if I change this to orthographics, they move it, we disable this. I don't know why the camera is not good. I go in render image. I don't know, maybe I must. So I leave it in slot 2, they select slot 3. And now if I go here, I disable motion blur. Now if I render this image, now we are talking. The motion blur is making this default Now you can see the image is perfect. Now if you enable motion blur, make it just smaller like this. Maybe it's working with, if I render image, we will see. If it's better, we'll leave it. If it's not, okay. Just if you select motion blur, you must to decrease this number like this. Now let's talk about rendering your animation. So to render the animation, you must to go here in output properties, select the resolution that you want for your final render. Select just the render region that you want. That will, if I go here in shading editor, if I uncheck this, the render region will select just the color of the camera. Now here you select the number of frames for your animation. Select the folder where you want to be your animation in your computer. And here I highly recommend to make it in image and select JPEG or PNG. Why? If you select image and don't select, if you select here video, you can make it faster, but if Blender crashed, you lose. You must to start from begin. But in image, you can select PNG or JPEG and Blender will give you this as a sequence image. If I go in, you will see it like this. Where is it? This is the test. I make a test before I make this. That's give you the animation as a simple image. We have 60 images here. And after in your video editor, you can transform these images to animation. If you select JPEG, make it like this. And in color management, go here in override and select, for example, make it like this. Here you can make it in high contrast or medium high contrast. You can choose or low contrast. So I always make it in high contrast. The exposure you can add or change it, but for this tutorial we'll leave it like this. Now maybe I select the plane, maybe I make it, give it more, I make it more shining like this. As you finish this setting, if you want it in cycles, make it like this. If you want it in EV, it's faster. I highly recommend to make it in cycles. Now to render the animation, go here and select render animation. When it's finished, as I see, you can make it in your video editor. So that's it for this tutorial. I hope that you like it. See you in the next one.